I have officially moved to Los Angeles. Now, I wasn't planning on making this a video or announcement until later, but given everything that's been going on lately, it really didn't feel right for me not to share this update. For some of you guys, you probably already know if you follow me over on Instagram, but for the past month, I've been living here in Los Angeles. And it's safe to say that the past couple of days have been quite surreal. I think that's the best way to put things. It really is just hard to put into words the scenes that have been happening throughout LA. I don't even know where to start. Now, it's probably best for me to start at the beginning. Almost a little over 1 month ago exactly, I moved into my dream apartment here in Los Angeles, Koreatown of all places, a place that I felt like I could call home. And over the past couple of weeks, it has truly been just that, taking my time to really build this apartment into some place that I could call home for the next year. And it really wasn't until the past couple of days where I've started to put things into perspective. Now, the reason I wanted to make this video is to just give anyone who isn't in Los Angeles a little bit of perspective of what's going on here. While I'm sure pretty much all of you guys have seen the news and may think that things have died down, I'm here to tell you that that truly isn't the case. If anything, this is really just the beginning of a whole new era here in Los Angeles, in which will take several years and millions of dollars to rebuild. It truly is just heartbreaking to see how much pain and suffering the city is going through. And the fact that I've just now moved here makes me share that pain with this community. This is quite literally the most disastrous fire in LA's history, if not California's history. So let me just take you guys back to what I've been experiencing this past week. I think it started around Tuesday when I was just going about my day as normal. To be honest, I hadn't been paying attention to the news as much, other than just hearing about some wind reports. But it really started to dawn on me when my friends from back home would text me, "Hey, are you doing okay?" And in those moments, it really started to click just how severe the whole situation was. I think later that night is when we started to hear about these evacuation orders, and that's really when I started to pay attention. I was calling my friends in the nearby areas, wondering whether we're safe, going online to see which zones and areas are currently being evacuated. Luckily, where I live wasn't close to the major two fires, but things did start to get a little bit scary when I heard there was a fire in the Hollywood Hills. Now, the Hollywood Hills, for reference, is pretty much visible right from my rooftop. You guys can see the Hollywood sign from here, and that area is surrounded by obviously a lot of trees and brush, so the thought that the fire could potentially make its way down here was pretty terrifying. It was a fear and emotion that I never had. Seeing people pack up their cars, all going in one direction, leaving while I'm going back home in another direction. It truly just felt apocalyptic, and when I got home, there was nothing else I could do but just stay updated, keep watching the news, and see whether or not it was getting any closer. I think the next morning when I woke up, the first thing I did was turn on the news. Seeing just how far the fire continued to spread, it really started to dawn on me the severity of the situation and forced me to start thinking about the worst. Whether I was gonna have to prep a go bag, what would I do with all my belongings? How would me and Louis get out safely? Where would I go? I clearly just moved here. It's not like I have immediate family that I can run to. And that's when I got an evacuation order alert. Luckily, this was a miss alert. However, as you guys can see from the screenshot right now, just the wording that they use, grab your essentials, take only what you need. It really started to put things into perspective of, if I had to leave, what would I take? What is most important in my life? Why do I care about all the materialistic things when people out there are literally losing their homes, losing their jobs, losing these businesses that have been around for decades? And once again, just made me really think about what I value in life now. Like, in these emergency crisis situations, like, what would I be able to fit in one suitcase, in one backpack, and be okay with? Like, it really just forced me to stop caring about so much stuff that I have. Like, who cares, right? Those things are replaceable, but think about priceless items like family albums and antiques and artifacts passed down from generations that are now lost, right? Like, over the next couple of days, it really just didn't feel right to do anything. I was clearly staying inside for my own safety. Even being outside right now isn't that great. And it truly felt like the beginning of the pandemic, when no one has any idea what's going on. We're all just constantly watching the news, and it was a sense of fear. It was a sense of, what is going to happen next? What are we going to do? How are we going to rebuild? Especially as someone who's just moved to Los Angeles, a huge part of me just felt so heartbroken. All the iconic landmarks and places that I would never get to see as they were, just no longer here. And as an artist, as a filmmaker, as someone who's inspired by the city I'm living in, it truly just felt like sorrow and heartbreak that Palisades, like one of the most gorgeous locations and scenic views that you could see in all of California, has just been reduced to rubble. Obviously, these are when we start to see a little bit of the aftermath, seeing the families that lost everything, seeing how they were able to make it out with their families and their pets, and that's all that mattered to them. You know, like, I think one of the hardest hitting parts of it all is seeing the families who were genuinely like us, middle-class working people who had worked for decades to build something, to build a home, to build something that they could call their own, and see it all just vanish in a second. Breaks my heart for those communities. And then as I'm watching the news, it starts to hit me like there were families living there, right? Like kids who schools and libraries were burned down and now have nowhere to go, who may not really comprehend what fully happened. You can see interviews from kids saying, oh, our house is broken. And just that childhood innocence of not being able to fully comprehend what's happening just once again just forced me to put things into perspective. And then finally, after days of being stuck inside, it just didn't feel right. And I knew I had to get out and do something. Sitting at home in my brand new apartment, surrounded by all the things I love, made me feel a weight of guilt, feeling of so much gratitude that myself and my belongings are safe, but so much guilt being able to sit comfortably in this home while hundreds of thousands of families are currently being displaced, nowhere to go, nowhere to sleep, nowhere to call home. And I knew I had to get out and do something. So yesterday I spent the day just trying to find opportunities to volunteer. I was quickly shown just how much Los Angeles cares and how much the community here is ready to pull up their sleeves and get to work, because immediately, I'm talking the day after the fire, relief centers were already being set up, hundreds of donations and volunteers were showing up, and the site was truly just overwhelming. You could really see people from all over Los Angeles coming together, providing resources and donating what was needed to those families that are in need. I did what I could and picked up a few supplies and made some rounds dropping them off. And most importantly, I was able to go to one of the relief centers, load my car up with supplies and drive them closer to the areas that were more affected by the fires. And day after day, I just continue to see Angelinos showing up for their community. And once again, as someone who has just moved here, I know a lot of you guys are wondering, why do you care so much? Why is this impacting you so hard? It doesn't matter if I've lived here for a day, a month, a year, a decade. I live here now. This is now my community. These are now my people. This is now a city I call my home. And just to see how much the city I've come to love is hurting really just instilled more pride in me now as an Angelino to just roll my sleeves up and see how I could get to work. Once again, like I said, it truly feels like the beginning of the pandemic. It is currently 2025 and I'm still walking around needing to wear a mask. And the crazy part is this might be the new normal here in Los Angeles. It was only this morning when I came up to my roof that I could no longer see the smoke coming from the Pasadena fires, and finally just being able to see it slowly clear away is one, a relief, but also still the beginning of a huge recovery effort. Now, I just wanted to make this an update video to let you guys know that myself, my dog, were safe out here. It just didn't feel right for me not to share with you guys that I'm currently living here in Los Angeles amidst one of the craziest times in this city and this country's history. And what's even crazier is that I had just moved to New York when COVID started. It was straight out of college, and immediately when that pandemic hit, the entire city has shut down. And in those moments, I felt like, how is New York City ever gonna recover? How are we ever gonna be able to live in a city this populated and still make it safe? And fast forward a couple of years, and I've seen New York City rebuild and come back stronger. And having been able to experience and live throughout those years during one of the craziest times in New York's history was a moment that I am forever grateful for. It felt like I had the city to myself, and looking back 10 years from now, 20 years from now, I'll be able to say that I saw the city come back from one of its hardest struggles ever. And if there's one thing I know, it's that I'll see the same thing here in Los Angeles. The city is built full of dreamers and people who come here to chase their dreams, and they don't leave until they make it, myself included. It's hard for me not to get emotional, just given the fact that this felt like it was supposed to be the start of this whole new chapter, and to see it just marked by so much tragedy is clearly heartbreaking, but trying to see the good in things. And once again, just being able to be here during this time and watch this city come back stronger, rebuild, and actually be a part of that rebuild. I think being more actively involved in my community, seeing how I can help, showing up and showing out, especially for my Koreatown community here, it's instilled this new sense of motivation and inspiration inside of me to really be more active in my community. You know, I don't think this is something that I've truly felt like in a while. But now being here, boots on the ground, where you can literally see the destruction from the fires from your rooftop, there really is no other option than to get involved. So if you are in the Southern California area, my thoughts and prayers are with you guys. Just know that we will get through these times together. And if you guys are following me over on Instagram, I've been doing my best to stay active, stay monitoring the situation, and obviously sharing resources. Right now, it feels more important than ever to use my platform and what I call my influence to actively make a change for the better. What good is having these thousands of followers if I'm not actually doing something about it and voicing my concerns where it matters and where I can actually help? So I urge you to stay active and stay monitoring the situation, see how you can help. I will have links to resources in the description where you guys can look for volunteer opportunities. And once again, if you're not here in the Southern California area, please check on your friends out here. I know it may seem small, but I am so grateful for everyone who has just shot me a text saying if I'm okay, because clearly it is just scary and terrifying to think about all the families who may not be able to respond to that text, you know. But all in all, I just want to say that I'm so extremely grateful and thankful to God that I'm safe. If I didn't have my dog out here with me, I would probably be going crazy right now, but just the two of us out here, just know that we're doing okay. We will come back from this LA. We will come back stronger and stay strong. I love you guys. Peace.